Hello, and pop open the champagne because this is episode 200 of the Sasuga podcast. And this is a very special episode because you'll be hearing tons of great quick tips that you haven't heard before from our fabulous special guests since episode 100. Are you ready? Here we go. You're listening to the Sasuga podcast, and you're about to discover how to excel in your work without being exhausted through practical techniques that you can start using right now. I'm your host, Helen Iwata, a bilingual Brit with a 3-decade career in Tokyo. I'm an award-winning women's success and business communication coach, speaker, writer, wife, and mother. Every week here on the show, I share my personal stories and favorite techniques around the 4 phases of the Sasuga success cycle, around self-care, planning, communication, and productivity to help you enjoy more success and less stress. You'll also have the chance to listen in on heartfelt and eye-opening conversations with inspiring guests and hear answers to your questions to help you use your expertise, time, and energy better, and quite simply to bring more joy into your work and life. This is the Sasuga podcast. Hello, lovely listener. How are you doing? Well, I am thrilled to be celebrating 200 episodes of the Sasuga podcast. I can't believe I've released an episode every week since January 2019. Initially, I was talking about communication skills for listeners working in global business, and now the focus is more on women's success, especially with the theme of less effort and more impact with the Sasuga success cycle. If you're not familiar with that, or if you need a reminder, that is number 1, care for you, 2, create your plan, 3, communicate your ideas, and 4, complete your tasks. And I know that this is powerful not just for working women. Male listeners also find the practical tips and stories useful too. And the insights and wisdom that you hear don't just come from me. I also have our fabulous guests to thank. And in this celebratory episode, I invited back our guests from the last 100 episodes. It's not 100. It's not 100 comments, by the way, to answer this question. The question is, in the last few years, what have you learned that made your life easier? I had so much fun listening to these sound bites as we were putting together this episode, and I hope you enjoy them and find them useful too. I've arranged them in the order of the Sasuga success cycle, and I found it really interesting that so many of them fall into phase 1, care for you. Care for you isn't just about looking after yourself physically. It's also about your mental and emotional well-being, especially about choosing your thoughts. Look after yourself first so that you can do great work and have fun. So first, you will hear from, are you ready? Ayako Tejima, Jennifer Shinkai, Miki Sturgis, Arisa Ido, Alma Barrero, Aris Hasegawa, Kanako Machidori, Sarah Furia, and Julie Clark. Okay, please welcome back the amazing Ayako Tejima.
Hello, Sasuga listeners. This is Ayako Tejima. I am a serial mompreneur and also a business and personal branding coach for female entrepreneurs. I want to wish Helen congratulations on a 200 episode on Sasuga podcast. Today, I'm here to share some tips to be happy female entrepreneur. それは、受け入れることの大切さに気づくことです。日々私たちはたくさんの感情を抱えています。仕事も家庭も妥協ばかりの状態に罪悪感を感じて生きてきました。でも自分の人生の正解を決めるのは自分自身です。私の周りに広がっていた問題は、実はたくさんの幸せになる宝庫だったんです。例えば嫉妬心、他人の成功は受け入れられないと嫉妬に、受け入れられることができたらインスピレーションになります。インスピレーションは私を成長させる源です。私には恐怖心もありました。不確かなこと、信じられないことは 受け入れられないと恐怖に、受け入れられることができたら冒険になります。受け入れられることは素敵な人生を楽しむ方法です。Thank you so much, Helen and Sasuga listeners. Once again, congratulations on the 200th episode on Sasuga podcast.
Hello, this is Jennifer Shinkai. I'm an Ikigai and Inclusion Facilitator coach and now a new upcoming illustrator as well. And one of the things that I've learned that's made my life easier over the last few years is that most people are too busy worrying about themselves, worrying about what they're doing, how they look, what's going on with them. They're not really paying attention to you at all. So you might as well just go and do the things that you want to do. And accepting that has really helped me to just do the things I want to do and has definitely made my life easier and less worried about other people's judgment.
Hello there! First, congratulations, Helen-san, for your 200th episode. That's so amazing. You always offer a ton of value on your show, and I appreciate that very much. My name is Miki Sturgis. I'm a women's life coach, abuse recovery, and master certified neurocoach, and Christian trauma release practitioner. I help women let go of past hurt, overcome long-standing insecurities, and get back lost confidence so that they feel empowered, capable, and worthy to step into their God-given greatness and the person they're created to be. I know you talk a lot about mindset on your podcast, Helen-san, and that's also my forte. So when it comes to making my life easier, I keep coming back to the area of subconscious and conscious thoughts. What I've learned and realized in the past few years is that I didn't have to hang on to thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve me, and that I could choose to let go of those thoughts and beliefs and replace them with those that lift me up and consciously choose joy, thus making my life easier and a lot lighter. We all have been restricted due to the pandemic for the last 2.5 years, and I know many have been struggling emotionally, mentally, and even physically. I think it's so important, even vital, to take our thoughts captive, meaning be aware of our thoughts and our self-talk, what we are saying to ourselves. Sometimes we can be so abusive to our own selves, So we have to speak to ourselves as we speak to our best friend and be very kind. Thank you so much, Helen-san, and again, congratulations.
Hi, my name is Arisa Ido and I am the community producer for Stanford Social Innovation Review Japan. One thing I learned in the past few years is that I started to accept my negative feelings. I try to be a better person, so I tend to hide or put a lid on my negative feelings. But recently, I realized that I am just a human being, and it is okay not to be okay. It makes life more difficult when you try to avoid your true feelings. So just accepting yourself needs courage, but it is worth trying.
Hello, Alma Barrero here, intuitive style coach and author of Style Power. And let me share with you the one thing that I've learned in the last few years that's truly changed my life. And I would say that it's the skill of listening to my body, being able to tune in every single day and listen and take action after the information that I receive. The fact that I put my body first, it helps me to increase my productivity, but also increase my creativity, and it really has taken to the next level every single area of my life. I hope this resonates with somebody. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Iris. I'm a self-love advocate. So, one thing that made my life easier, that is, life is all about journey. For example, hey, it is November, we've got 2 months until the end of 2022. Society would be like, let's do as much as possible for the rest of the year so that we can finish this year strong. Well, the thing is, this year is not all about the rest of 2 months. We should focus on now. We are conditioned to be human doing, but actually we were born to be just human being on this planet. I know we are always in rush, but what is the point of living a life? Our society is such a hustle culture, but we can practice to slow down. And your value doesn't depend on your age, your grade in school, your marital status, how much weight you've lost this year, how many followers or likes you got on social media, how many clothes you have in your closet. Let's return to be human being by understanding life is not always about performance based. It is neutral, it is process, and it is journey. One tip I can share now is celebrating you are breathing today, whatever you're going through. Have a great day. Sending love.
Hi, Helen, and everyone who is listening to the podcast. First of all, congratulations on the 200th episode. This is so amazing and exciting. My name is Kanako Machidori, Human Resources Manager at US software company based in Tokyo. And I was a former student of Sasuga VIP Women's Coaching Program. One thing I learned that made my life easier in the past years is this mantra, which is do what works for me. 私に合ったやり方でやればいいです。これは私が大事にしている価値観であるフリーダムとも一致するマントラで、私を制約から解放してくれると同時にたくさんの選択肢を与えてくれるものです。何か困った時、悩んだ時、このマントラを思い出すことでとっても心が軽くなるものです。皆さんもよかったら、何か困った時、悩んだ時、この言葉を思い出してみてはいかがでしょうか。以上、まちどりでした。
Hello, hello, hello. This is Sarah Faruya from Sarah Faruya Coaching and SF Creative. Congratulations, Helen and Sasuga Communications, on your 200th episode. What have I learned recently? Well, in the last 2 years, I've learned a lot about neurodiversity, DEI against that backdrop, and also ADHD. It's been an incredible journey learning about these things because I myself have ADHD and a lot of neurodiversity, and it made me realize a lot of things about myself and why sometimes it was difficult for neurotypical people to accept me as I am, in my fullness, in my bigness, in my too muchness, in my eccentricities, in my loud voice, in my confidence, and in all those things that come with ADHD. But also the flip side of that being time blindness, often being late or early, or not being able to register time properly, forgetting things, showing up half prepared, or sometimes over prepared. I'm having amazing ideas, but then finding it really difficult to execute on them and having to have a lot of support around that. It's really made me accept myself a great deal and other people with neurodiversities, and made me understand why me and my friends are attracted to one another. On the flip side, it's absolutely brilliant because we have so much feeling and we feel so deeply and we have great joy. We appreciate beauty in a terrific way. We're incredibly talented. We can get loads done. We generate absolutely loads of ideas. We're incredibly creative. We can generate ideas that run off the bell curve. And that can be extremely threatening or confusing to people who are neurotypical, who don't have feelings that big, which makes me feel a terrific amount of compassion for people who are neurotypical. But that's not to underplay the disability that can be ADHD and neurodiversity when trying to fit into the current model of what professionalism metabolism is, and we have to mask all the time, which can be incredibly exhausting. Well, I'm unmasking, and this is one of the first places that I'm being really super open about this, besides my own podcast and some conversations that I've had with Kate Kamoshita. It's absolutely brilliant to start to understand how to work with my own neurodiversity, but also how to have terrific compassion for people who don't have the same diversity, breadth of feeling, breadth of ideas that I have. And also those people I see at the train station who look really different. I can now think, gosh, that's neurodiversity in play over there. But and have a great deal of compassion for people who are chronically late, or who are who find it really difficult to get things organized, or who self-medicate around trying to manage the undiagnosed or diagnosed neurodiversities. One of the great things that I find so sad is that very often people with neurodiversity are told that they're too much, too big, too eccentric, too extroverted, too this, too that. And yes, we feel deeply, and we have an enormous breadth of emotion, an enormous range of ways to be in the world. And the comedian Elise Myers, who is ADHD as well, says this: if I'm too much, go find less. And so I leave you with that. If I'm too much, anybody else you know is too much, go find less.
Wow, Helen, 200 episodes. What a huge achievement. So congratulations. I'm Judy Clark, and I'm a registered nutritional therapist based in the UK. I help stressed out, busy mums to become calm, happy, healthy and energized so they can raise healthy, happy kids. I can't imagine there's a more important role than raising a new generation of healthy kids by empowering the mums. So the things that I've learned in the last couple of years that make my life easier is really about going back to basics. So I did my degree in nutritional medicine over 25 years ago now. And the whole first year of that course was really about the basics, about how our food is grown, how our plants get the nutrients, and how the nutrients end up in our body. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. We don't necessarily have to eat the latest diet or consume the latest superfoods, but just going back to basics and using food as a foundation is just, it's so simple, but so important. So for anybody listening, have a look at what you're up to and see if you can go back to basics. Get out in nature, get your hands in the dirt. Can you grow things? Really support your gut microbiome, because when your health is supported in that way by the food you eat, of course you have more energy and you can manage stress a lot better, and everything becomes a lot more easier in your life.
Oh, some great advice there from those superstars, and I'm really curious to know what resonated with you most. But since I can't hear you, we are now moving into phase 2, create your plan. And here you'll hear from my fabulous coach, Patty Dominguez, and the amazing Kathy Bonzek, who I had the pleasure to work with again this year as we were both speaker coaches for an in-person global conference in California, which was amazing. Okay, here comes Patty.
Hey there, my name is Patty Dominguez. I'm a positioning expert. My brand is called Positioning to Profit. I help women establish their category of one, making their competition irrelevant. Congratulations, Helen, for 200 episodes. I cannot begin to express how impressive I find that, because it means that you have the stick-to-itiveness to keep moving forward. And that is everything to do with being aligned with your vision of where you want to go. So I applaud that. Okay, so one thing that I have learned in the last few years that has made my life easier is the reminder to KISS, KISS. Keep it super simple wherever you can. And the reason I say that is because sometimes we have a tendency to overcomplicate where there is no complication. And I want to quote Steve Jobs, who said, simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple, but it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. So I believe it's only complicated, it's only hard if you tell yourself it is. What if you could see things as just simple? Where can you release the need to overcomplicate? Because there's another quote from Cedric Bluxo that says, simplicity is the essence of happiness. And when you really think about it at the core, at the human level, all we want to be is happy. So when you are mired in thinking that, oh, life is hard, or this is hard, or that's hard, redirect your thinking and remember that our default is to be happy. Keep it super simple. Don't overcomplicate your life. There's no reason for it. Choose simplicity. It's been hugely rewarding for me. And I pass that on to you. Again, congratulations, Helen.
Hello, this is Kathy Bonzik from CCP Communications in the USA. And as I've been pondering what it is that I've learned in the last 12 months, there's one idea that's really had a lot of traction for me. And that is that you might have an expected outcome, but the means of getting to it are probably going to manifest in a way that you didn't expect. In other words, it's very hard to force the world, life, a project, colleagues to do things in the exact manner that you want them to. And so this idea of relaxing your anticipation of an expected outcome and letting the gifts just occur around you is a way of preventing you from wasting time trying to control things that are perhaps not important, and also gives you the gift of perspective that, what is this that I'm supposed to be taking away in this moment? And how do I use this perhaps sharp left turn or U-turn to teach me something else that I'm supposed to be observing or knowing? And that when we get to our desired outcomes, when we look backwards, we're often going to say, well, gee, that was just the way it was supposed to happen, but that's not what I would have done if I could have controlled it entirely. And to me, this perspective on letting life manifest and not being disappointed when things don't go the way you planned them originally has really made it much more fulfilling to be in the present and see what happens.
Love that so much. And next is phase 3, communicate your ideas. You will hear from JJ Walsh, Tia Haygood, Brittany Arthur, and Noriko Makino-Vilanti. And let me say congratulations to Brittany on bringing your beautiful little baby into the world, and to Noriko for bringing your beautiful book into the world.
Hi, Helen, and all the Sasuga podcast listeners. Congratulations on your 200th episode. That is an amazing achievement. Well done. My name is JJ Walsh. I run a business called Inbound Ambassador, which focuses on supporting businesses and travel destinations, and writing content, which focuses on ways that we can find more sustainable solutions. I also do a regular talk show and podcast called Seek Sustainable Japan to feature the good work of good people around Japan doing great things. And Helen has been one of my guests on my show. We have to do a follow-up sometime, Helen. One thing I've learned that has made my life easier the last few years has been understanding that it's so important to share good information that is positive and useful and can inspire us all. And by connecting and learning from other people and kind of leaving behind those ideas that you were stuck on before, that you thought it was very black and white, and thinking of things in a more open-minded way as you connect to other people and really try to listen to what they're saying and the perspectives that they're coming from. Thank you so much for allowing me to share in this amazing achievement. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Hello to the Sasuga community. This is Tia of Top Tia Photography. I'm so excited to be celebrating with Helen, her team, and the Sasuga Communications community the 200th episode of this amazing podcast. I mean, it's funny because Helen and I have a bit of a history. She was my very first client when I first opened my doors in 2016. And she very courageously raised her hand and said, I would like to hire you as a photographer. And watching her and her business grow, and I'm sure her watching me and my business grow and evolve, has been a real humbling experience that I absolutely do cherish. I was approached by Yumi, Helen's assistant, and she was asking me to provide something that has made my life easier. I don't know if it's made my life easier, but it's definitely made my life more fulfilling and more fruitful. And that's to really not see myself as a commodity as a photographer, but to really connect with people, whether that's inside my studio or outside, really connect with people and really listen to their stories and really see the story behind the story or the message behind what they're saying. I'll give a bit of an example. As a photographer, as a commodity, somebody comes to me because they need a headshot, they need it to be updated because theirs is 10 years old and they look different, their hair is short. And I understand that very clearly. But what the underlying message is oftentimes is I need a headshot that will communicate my worth, my value, my history, my experience. And sometimes, if you look even deeper than that, it's I need a headshot or a portrait that communicates my value, experience, and worth to myself. And that I find really, really amazing to connect and feel trusted enough to connect with someone who is willing to share their thoughts, their feelings, their vulnerabilities with me. And it's taught me the power of trustworthiness. It's taught me the power of really understanding your fellow person. And I find that servicing someone at that deeper level is more rewarding than servicing someone at a superficial level that starts and ends at the studio. So I hope that that's applicable to people in other industries. You know, if you're a coach, you're not just a coach teaching and giving advice. You're somebody who's really connecting and learning and listening to people who have maybe other underlying messages and underlying concerns below that advice that of course they need, but need something a little deeper. So anyway, I hope that that's helpful, and I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing the next 200 episodes of Sasuga Communications podcasts. Congratulations, Helen and the Sasuga team.
A very big hello to the Sasuga podcast listeners. My name is Brittany Arthur. I am the co-founder of Design Thinking Japan and the host of the Business Karaoke podcast. However, you might have actually met me before on episode 179, where I joined Helen to talk about working with your body, not in spite of it. A big congratulations to Helen and to you, the Sasuga community, for reaching 200 episodes. What a milestone. For me, the thing that's made my life easier, I would say, is empathy for your user. What does that mean? Empathy for your user essentially means taking the time to think about what the person on the other side of the table might need from you. Sometimes that user is a client. Sometimes that user is even my son. Sometimes it's my husband. Sometimes it's someone at the end of an email. It can be anyone. But taking the time to think about what does this particular person need from me in order to achieve a certain goal, or what does this particular person need for a solution, not only saves me time because I'm not just throwing random general solutions at the wall, I'm actually taking the effort to specifically design a solution for this person. This not only saves me time and makes my life easier, it actually really builds deeper relationships as well. Again, big congratulations, Helen. I wish you 200 very active, happy, more episodes.
Hi, my name is Norika Makinoviranti. I am the executive coach and the author of the book Positive Feedback. One thing I've learned is, of course, the power of the positive feedback. Actually, I relearned about the power and the importance of the positive feedback by the process of writing this book. That's something, giving very proactive, positive feedback to my team, to my colleagues, etc., is something I have always done. And also my superior has always done to me, and that's why I learned about it. But through the process of writing this book, I consciously articulated this concept, and that made a huge difference to me. And by doing actual positive feedback to people around me, it changed my life. So really recommend it. Say something positive to your colleagues, to your families. You might assume that they know about it, but actually they don't. And if they know that, you think positively about them, they'll be still happy if you say to them that you're great at this, I believe in you, thank you so much, you've done a great job, you've tried hard enough on this, blah, blah, blah. They'll be very, very happy and they will appreciate you say that. So positive feedback. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And JJ, yes, I would love to be back on the Seek Sustainability Japan show. I could happily talk about personal sustainability through less effort and more impact, and my upcoming new book on that topic. And by the way, if you can't wait for the Less Effort, More Impact book and you're ready right now to feel more in control of your time, have more energy and joy, and make the most of your expertise as a woman in business, pop over to sasugacommunications.com/training for details of my latest online training for you. Especially if you're listening to this around the time of release, you are in luck because you can join the live Less Effort, More Impact for Women in Business training this month. And that includes practical tips and coaching from me for your particular situation if you would like that. Just give me 10 minutes a day for 10 days, minimum. Details are at sasugacommunications.com/training. I would love to see you there. Okay, and finally, we are into phase 4, complete your tasks. This is all about productivity. And we will hear from, finally, a male speaker, Shu Matsuo Post, Violet Pachilio, Catherine O'Connell, Jane Nakata, and Lillian Rowlett.
Hi, this is Shu Matsuo Post, author of I Took Her Name and TED Speaker. First of all, congratulations to Helen and team for achieving such a milestone, 200 episodes. That is so inspiring. It's really awesome to hear you share your expertise and enthusiasm for as long as you have on your platform. I'm very honored to be back on your show and share one thing I've learned. What I've learned is that it's not one big action that makes a huge impact. It's the consistent work that makes a lasting change. I'll give you an example. In the past year, I did give several speeches to some big brands, including TED, TEDx, and a couple of large corporations. But I wasn't very active on or consistently producing on my platforms. Now that I've had some time to reflect on my learning, I'm excited to start sharing my knowledge consistently again. Lots of respect to you, Helen, and keep up the great work.
Hi, this is Violet Pachileo. I am the owner of CrossFit Aotearoa Strength in Aotearoa, Kochi. It's a CrossFit retreat in the mountains, and one thing I've learned over the last year is to outsource as much as I can and delegate. I'm an owner of a CrossFit retreat, and also I have a kabushiki gaisha. So it's really difficult to find the time to do everything. I also have 3 kids. I'm a working mother. So delegation is really important to get through my day. バイオレット・パチレオと申します。クロスフィットオートヨストレンクスの代表、株式会社 VP アドバイザーズの代表取締役です。去年1年で習ったことは、できるだけ委託すること。全部自分でできないので、私母親でもあるし、ビジネスオーナーでもあるし、全部できないので、できるだけ、委託して自分の負担を減らす、それを学びました。
Hello, I'm Catherine O'Connell. I'm a law firm owner, a podcaster, and an outside board director. One of the things I learned in the past few years that's made my life easier is not doing everything myself, but rather investing and delegating tasks to people who can do them much better than me. Often I'm asked, how do you do a podcast? How do you have time? Well, the secret to that success is that I'm not doing all the technical work myself. All I do is book the guests and record the conversation with them. Everything else in the background, the audio clips, the social media posts, and the editing, all of those I delegate to another specialist. For years, the technical side of doing the podcast stopped me from launching a podcast myself. And now I've been able to have a successful award-winning podcast because somebody else who's a professional can support me with the technical expertise. Another example of how delegating has made my life easier is the end of month work tasks. I run a busy law office and I need to concentrate on the legal advice work that clients need. So one of the things that has made my life easier is to delegate the end of month invoicing work to an assistant. Many of my entrepreneur friends do invoices themselves and they think it's going to save them time, but actually it takes more time. What I suggest from what I've learned is don't do everything yourself. Selectively and strategically invest in having other people help you so you can excel in your zone of genius and let others excel in their zone of genius to support you.
Hello, Sasuga listeners. This is Jane Nakata. I am the host of the Transformations with Jane podcast, and it's great to celebrate the 200th episode of the Sasuga podcast with you. One thing that I have learned over the last few years that I'd like to share with you is that you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So what this means to me is that I need to choose the things that will make the most impact for me and my family and do those, and decide not to do other things, and that's okay. And when I focus on just a couple of things that are really important, those things go really, really well. So for you, what are your things that you could focus on and have a great result from? Helen, all the best for another 100 episodes. And I hope to see you again sometime on the Sasuga podcast.
Hi, everyone. This is Lillian Rolat, co-founder of Kokoro Care Packages, which delivers artisanal Japanese food made by local farmers and producers to people around the world. I first of all want to say huge congratulations to Helen and the team at Sasuga for hitting this incredible milestone. One of the most important things I've learned over the last few years, and truthfully something I'm still working on, is to only focus on the things which are truly within my control. And that really comes down to two things, my attitude and my effort. I'm still learning to put things into perspective and to pull myself out of that late night rabbit hole that can lead me to the worst case outcomes. I now try to take a moment to breathe and to remind myself that every problem has a solution. Looking forward to the next 100 episodes, and congratulations again.
I'm not sure if you noticed that when Catherine was talking about outsourcing podcasting tasks, she was referring, of course, to Jane's podcasting services. And if you're considering launching your podcast or looking for support, Jane is your go-to for this. So you may be wondering, where can you find out more about these amazing individuals? Well, you will find links in the show notes at sasugacommunications.com/200. These are also links to the original episodes for each guest, so you can go and hear more from them, and you'll also find their contact details. Plus, I'll share a handy list of all the tips. I mean, these are such valuable tips, so I wanted to create a collection that's easy for you to refer to and use, and they will be in this week's edition of my bilingual newsletter, Sasuga Tips for You. If you're not already a regular reader, you can easily start at sasugacommunications.com/subscribe. And finally, I want to say a huge thanks to Team Sasuga, that is Yumi, Kumiko, and Chi, because these 200 episodes definitely would not have happened without all your fabulous support and enthusiasm for what we do. And I feel like I need to reach for the tissues now. But let me ask you, lovely listener, do you have recommended guests for future episodes of the Sasuga podcast? Is there someone you'd love me to interview? I am open to suggestions. Just drop me a note at info@sasugacommunications.com and let me know. And what was most meaningful for you in this episode of the Sasuga podcast? I would love to read your comments on any of my social media posts. I'm on Instagram at Helen Iwata or LinkedIn as Helen Iwata. And of course, you can DM me on those platforms too. You can find today's show notes at sasugacommunications.com/200 with heaps of handy links. Thank you so much for listening and celebrating with me. Yay! I am so ridiculously happy about this and so incredibly grateful to everyone who's been involved and to you, of course, dear listener. And whatever you're doing today, what can you do to celebrate you? Make it a brilliant, cork-popping, and joyful day. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Sasuga podcast. Wow, the fact that you listened all the way to the end here tells me how committed you are to your personal and professional development. If you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to tell your friends or colleagues about the Sasuga podcast. Spread the tips and the joy. Help to make everybody's lives better. And you may even like to rate and review the Sasuga podcast in your favorite podcast player to help others find it. And if you'd like to hear more from me, be sure you're regularly reading my free weekly newsletter, Sasuga Tips for You. I'll send you practical techniques, resources, and inspiration every Tuesday in English and Japanese. Just go to sasugacommunications.com/subscribe to subscribe. And I look forward to supporting you.